Tonight on Fox 13 News, live at 5, it's been 1 year since this young girl, Izzy Tishner, took her own life. How loved ones are honoring her and keeping her memory alive this evening.
I definitely want to be back on a bike in some way.
An Orem woman loses her leg in a motorcycle accident in Provo Canyon. How the community is stepping up and rallying around her as she recovers.
And with just 2 days to go, candidates across America are in the final sprint to get out the vote. We're going to take a closer look at this final push in the midterm elections.
And leading up to Election Day, we've got another storm on the way. It's going to bring a wintry mix. When does it hit? I'll let you know in the forecast.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News Live at 5 starts now.
Today marks 1 year since the death of Foxborough Elementary student Izzy Tishner. Her suicide has since prompted multiple investigations into the Davis School District and now a potential multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Amy Nay.
And I'm Brian Schnee. Izzy's family is hosting a vigil tonight to remember that little girl. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser joins us live at her school right now before that event begins in about 30 minutes. Emily.
Brian, Amy, on this day last year, the Tishner family's world was turned completely upside down when they discovered Izzy died by suicide. They've been fighting for justice for her ever since. Izzy's parents claim that the 10-year-old was bullied for her race and disability and that the Davis School District didn't do anything to protect their daughter. Back in April, independent investigators found no direct evidence she was bullied for these reasons, but did write that the school, quote, failed to conduct the investigation that Izzy was due and deserved. Just days ago, the Tishner family announced they're seeking $14 million in damages over her death, and they plan to file a lawsuit if the school district does not settle. Tonight's vigil will take place at the pavilion in half an hour, the pavilion that's just right next to the playground, and it will have an open mic that's centered around memories and mental health advocacy. We're also told that the Tishner family might comment on that potential lawsuit. Reporting live in front of Foxborough Elementary, I'm Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thank you. New tonight at 5, an Orem woman continues to recover in the hospital after a motorcycle accident last week resulted in the loss of her right leg.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with that woman as well as a Provo art gallery that is rallying around her as she recovers.
Dad loved motorcycles, so I would go on rides with him. And so that might have been what gave me the love for it.
That love for the open road led Mary Brickey, an artist and teacher at La Europa Academy in Murray, to buy a motorcycle in the beginning of August.
It's freeing. Very freeing and empowering.
Last Sunday afternoon, Brickey says she participated in a big group ride starting in Orem. Well, Brickey tells me she was in the first 50 or so group of riders that were going through Provo Canyon right here. She says right after they got past the turnoff to Sundance, she noticed something wasn't quite right with her bike. So she says she decided to try and pull off the road.
It wasn't until about halfway to the barrier that I realized that I was not stopping, not even slowing, and I had no brakes.
They go down? Which Brickey says caused her to crash into that barrier.
They tell me I flew about 30 feet, or at least that's where I was, and it was in a ravine.
The crash, severing Brickey's right leg below the knee, as well as dislocating one of her fingers and breaking a bone in her right hand. She was airlifted to the hospital in Murray, where she spent a few days in the ICU.
I'm really convinced that having a brand new helmet and having the whole face on and having all my gear on saved the rest of me.
Now the community is stepping up to help her.
Mary's an artist, and art is in many ways what her life revolves around.
Esther Hilani Kandari is the director of programming for Written Vision, a fine art gallery and rare books dealer in Provo. After hearing of Brickey's accident last Sunday, she says almost immediately the idea of doing a fundraiser for her was born. And just a few days later, that idea was made possible with an art exhibit.
We ended up having about 110 pieces that were donated in person, and then about a dozen more that were just listed online.
As well as a couple dozen prints, with all the proceeds from the donated artwork going directly to Brickey.
It was really heartwarming to see the mobilization that happened, and it's a testament to who Mary is and what she's done for our community.
Brickey says she'll be in the hospital a few more days and begin rehab after that. Despite her accident, she hasn't closed the door on ever getting back on a motorcycle.
I'm going to be on a bike, at least a little, to show myself it's okay. And that's important to me.
In Orem, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
With control of Congress up for grabs, candidates are putting the pedal to the metal on the campaign trail, leaving nothing to chance in the final hours of these midterm races.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson has that story for us now from the White House.
With just 2 days to go before Election Day, candidates are in an all-out dash to get out the vote and sway any remaining undecideds. This weekend has seen 4 presidents hit the campaign trail to rally voters, trying to remind Americans what's on the line.
Truth and facts and logic and reason and basic decency are on the ballot. Democracy itself is on the ballot. The stakes are high.
If you want to stop the destruction of our country and save the American dream, then this Tuesday you must vote Republican in a giant red way.
Midterm elections historically favor the party that's not in power. Republicans are predicting big wins based on the current state of the economy and President Biden's lackluster approval rating.
We have great candidates. People are showing up to vote. There's no energy on the Democrat side. This election is about the Biden agenda.
While Democrats appear to be facing an uphill battle, they're optimistic about their chances, reminding voters about the GOP's track record on abortion rights and January 6th.
I think this race is razor close, and I think everybody who cares about the extremism in this MAGA movement, the racism, the anti-Semitism, the violence, needs to get out and vote.
Millions of Americans have already voted, and the numbers point to a record-setting turnout. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, if you're still looking for help in registering to vote or anything else about the election process, grab your phone right now, scan that QR code on your screen. You can find voter information, where to find ballot boxes, how to track your ballot, and get election results when they come in on Tuesday, right around the corner.
Boy, it's like the calm before the storm, or is it calm? I don't know.
And there's another storm, though, brewing, too. Speaking of weather, right? Because there's meteorologist Breck Bolton. Breck, you guys both made it on time today. Very proud of you.
With an extra hour of sleep, I felt so relaxed. You woke up in a different state.
I woke up for those that follow on social media, I woke up in Arizona, didn't have a time change.
And how was
I've
that?
never experienced that before. Well, I came back on a plane.
You should have done it in March.
Flying over Utah mountains were beautiful today, Breck. I'm sure they're going to be adding some more to that snowpack. So.
Oh, they are. With our next storm system, yeah, impressive, as we're going to be looking at more widespread precipitation and more snow even towards the southern mountains. We're going to be talking more about that storm. Let's get through today, where today here through northern Utah, still holding on to some clouds. We had a few areas with some light showers. That cold front that hit yesterday stalling out, still bringing in some clouds even at this hour. But yeah, with that change in time, as we give you a view from our Oquirrh Mountain camera, it's a different viewpoint near sunset right now. But as we're looking at those clouds in place here around portions of the Wasatch Front, it's been a day where temperatures still on the cool side. We are in the 40s here. It looks like with the highs in Logan, Salt Lake City as well. Mid-40s in Provo. Looks like we topped off at 48 degrees in Price. 56 though in Cedar City. Yeah, the further south you went, the more sunshine you saw, and of course warmer temperatures there. We take a look as we look right now with temperatures in the 40s here along the Wasatch Front. As we line things up though, wind-wise, starting to see winds picking up through west central Utah, out of the south in preparation of our next storm. We're going to be talking about these strong winds and the timing of the storm. It's a multiple day storm, which of course could impact Election Day and moving through the week. We'll talk about that storm coming up in just a bit.
All right, did you feel it? There was a magnitude 3.8 earthquake early this morning down in the south part of our state, just a mile east of Colorado City, Arizona. The shaking happened at around 4:40 a.m. We understand that people as far as Hurricane and Kanab, each about 25 miles in the opposite directions from the epicenter, did feel the quake. Now, if you did feel it, you're asked to go online and fill out a survey from the U.S. Geological Survey. We've got a link to it on our website, fox13now.com.
Salt Lake County Health Department is hard at work to make sure people stay up to date on their COVID vaccines to prevent a surge of infections this fall and winter. Today, they hosted a COVID shot and booster clinic at the Cathedral of the Madeleine in Salt Lake City after its 11 o'clock mass. Everyone 6 months and older could get vaccinated. No appointment necessary.
I think all of us are hoping that soon up, that COVID will be something in the past that the annual vaccine will be just something like getting the annual flu shot, and that COVID will not be so much prevalent in our society.
Salt Lake County Health Department is hosting several clinics this week throughout the Salt Lake Valley. For more information, head to saltlakehealth.org.
Coming up, the hunt is on for whoever shot multiple people at a bar in Philadelphia, what police are revealing tonight.
And protecting animals with disabilities, how a retired sheriff's deputy is giving back to our four-legged friends.
Welcome back. Some national news for you right now. A search is underway in Pennsylvania for multiple people suspected of shooting into a crowd outside a bar last night.
At least 9 people were injured, and police are searching for a motive. Gloria Pazmino has the latest.
A manhunt is underway to find the suspects accused of opening fire outside a Philadelphia bar, sending at least 9 people to the hospital. Police say they have recovered at least 40 pieces of ballistic evidence.
Hopefully be able to get some additional information as well as video surveillance that may be able to help us identify who's responsible for this.
The shooting happened just before 11 last night. At least 5 victims were listed in critical condition Sunday morning. 4 are in stable condition. Police say the gunmen were seen getting out of a black car and may have seen someone they wanted to shoot in the crowd.
At this point in time, we don't know the motive. Obviously, this is very early in the investigation.
Police were already on scene patrolling this busy area, filled with people enjoying a night out that quickly turned to violence.
We're policing it and trying our best in terms of to stop this type of violence. But again, that's the point where we need the assistance of the public. If you were out here.
The 9 victims range in age from 23 to 40 years old, and so far, no weapons have been found, according to police. Gloria Pazmino, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, moving on now to a daring rescue. New York firefighters using a rope system to save a woman who was hanging from a 15th floor window of a burning high-rise in Manhattan. My goodness. The firefighter grabbed the woman around the waist as another lowered the rope to a lower apartment. At least 38 people were injured in this fire. Boy, this was a precarious situation right there on the window. Firefighters believe the fire may have sparked by a lithium-ion battery connected to a bike or a scooter.
Well, you probably heard about this one. The Powerball lottery soared to a record-breaking $1.9 billion. That's a B, after nobody picked up those lucky numbers drawn last night. No one has won the Powerball jackpot in 3 months, taking the prize to an all-time high for Monday's drawing. You may know you have to go elsewhere in Utah to get those tickets. The cash value of the prize is now over $929 million. The odds of hitting the jackpot are 1 in over 292 million. Still, Americans are buying up their tickets all across the country, hoping to win big time when those numbers come out.
You got your ticket?
No. Straight face. The answer's no.
Well, I hope someone wins.
All right. He spent 27 years serving and protecting people in Florida as a sheriff's deputy, but now he's retired and shifting his focus to serving and protecting animals with disabilities.
Robert Boyd from our sister station in Tampa shows us how one man is giving animals a second chance, one wheel at a time.
Well, Deli and Maddie Mae are just 2 of 127 animals to receive wheelchairs in the past 18 months, thanks to this nonprofit organization, Ruck 9. And founder John Cox says he calls all these animals his wheelie warriors.
What's the reaction like when you get to see a pet get that mobility again, get to be a dog again?
It never gets old. To see the actual smile, to see, you show up to the house and they open the door and the dog's dragging its legs out. Then you pop them in this wheelie and to just see them take off.
John Cox knew providing wheelchairs to animals in need would be life-changing. But he's not just referring to the animals, he's referring to himself.
I just retired from the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. After 27 years, I rescued a dog from an eviction before I retired, and I always say I don't know who's more blessed, that dog or me.
So instead of playing golf or going to the beach, John used his retirement to start the nonprofit organization Ruck 9, giving disabled animals a second chance through the gift of wheels.
Didn't know what I was doing. Placed the first order, they mailed it to me. The second one I called and they were kind of like, okay, this is interesting. And on the third one, they were like, okay, who are you and do you own all these dogs? And I said, no, I've just started a nonprofit. I just want to help animals.
Many of these recipients come from shelters like Deli. who would have otherwise never had the resources to obtain a wheelchair.
You know, she has all those typical dog behaviors. She wants to explore. She wants to go for walks. The wheelchair has just really made a difference.
Now Deli could soon be rolling right into a new home.
How does this also help the adoptability of a dog?
So, I mean, with a dog like Deli, you know, you see them dragging themselves on the ground. You don't visually get how to care for that dog. When they're in the wheels, though, people are just amazed by her, you know, abilities rather than disabilities.
Reporting in Sarasota, I'm Robert Boyd.
Well, if those dogs were in Utah, they would need to put snow tires on those cool contraptions.
Oh,
we've seen some snow this weekend, Brack, and there's more coming.
I'm wearing my white pocket square.
Is that the sign?
That is the sign. That's my new brand, right? Now, a little bit more subtle, but yeah, we do have snow in the forecast looking ahead, as we're going to be looking at valley snow, where yesterday's storm mainly brought rain here across northern Utah and mainly bringing precipitation throughout northern Utah. Yeah, southern Utah kind of staying out of the mix here throughout the weekend, enjoying the sunshine. But through central into northern Utah, we had some clouds earlier this morning coming in as we share this photo on our Facebook page. This is from Sheila Fillmore. Low-level clouds, even some fog there in place. She says it was kind of pretty to have that around, where that was due to the front that moved through. Not a lot of precipitation through central Utah as the storm kind of just priming the pump of what we're expecting moving ahead. Outside right now, though, once again, a view from our Oquirrh Mountain camera right near sunset. Of course, now that we went back that hour, we're going to see daylight going away a little bit earlier, as we're seeing temperatures today on the cool side, below average, but we're going to be warming up heading into tomorrow, and it is the warm before the storm. Let's take a look, though, as we're getting you ready for Tuesday, looking at Election Day, where as we're looking going to the polls, if you're going outdoors, try and get it done in the morning, because it's going to be a wet day, especially as we move through the afternoon. Expecting to see some rain showers, maybe overnight, maybe even a mixture of rain and snow. That's the storm on track, where this storm is going to bring a series of waves and keep active weather going and precipitation going for about 2 or 3 days here across the state. And with that, the National Weather Service trying to get us ready with some watches in place. The first one, as we highlight there, kind of in that yellow orange color there, it's a high wind watch, which will be in effect and getting ready for tomorrow. So they'll upgrade this, update it to probably a wind advisory, or in some areas a high wind warning, where we are expecting to see wind gusts, particularly across western Utah, anywhere between 50, 55, maybe even 60 miles per hour. In addition, winter storm watch will be in effect. We are expecting, especially for the mountains, several inches over a 3-day window as we go from Tuesday into Thursday. And it looks like we might be talking about feet of snow, particularly across northern and central Utah. Let's get you through looking at the winds, where, again, as I look at our computer models heading into tomorrow morning, it gets going early, particularly across west central southwestern Utah. You see those areas where the color is kind of into that purple. That's 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Again, we are expecting to see even stronger winds, and those strong south winds ahead of a front, which is going to be slow to move in, as it's going to be digging towards the west and then sweeping through the state, giving us a chance of that precipitation. But winds will be a factor not only as we look into Monday, but Tuesday as well here across the state. So the front that hit today, stalling out, but it is really weakening, and it's moving away, but we're holding on to some clouds, particularly across central into northern Utah, but no activity from radar. We're not expecting to see much in the overnight hours. Maybe a brief light rain shower here, because with that southerly flow and those clouds in place, overnight lows will be fairly mild. We're waiting for that next storm. That's packing the cold air and packing the punch. So for tonight, take a look at these overnight lows. Quite mild, as I said, near 50 degrees in Salt Lake City. Slight chance of rain. Central Utah, we're in the 30s, mid 40s in St. George. Because of those south winds, we're kicking up the temperatures, 50s and 60s, even 70s towards St. George. There is a possibility of maybe seeing some light rain showers here across northern Utah ahead of the front. And for St. George, you don't see the rain until Tuesday and Wednesday. That'll bring in some colder air down into the 50s. Then we clear away heading into Thursday and the weekend as well. Northern Utah is slight chance of rain, better chance though Tuesday. Again, the focus really in the afternoon. And then Wednesday we get hit with a mixture of rain and snow, and then some snow showers Thursday. This is where we're looking at the valleys having maybe some snow accumulation, but mountains getting just pummeled here going through Thursday. Then we clear out nicely for the weekend, but it's going to be a cooler week on tap.
All right, thank you, Brack. Next, what does the latest interest rate hike mean for homeowners and prospective buyers? Well, Take a look at those numbers as they keep climbing. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates again this past week, issuing another 0.75% hike. It's fourth in a row, marking the largest series of Fed rate hikes in more than 3 decades. The Fed made the move to get inflation under control and slow the economy.
And it appears to be working, at least in one really noticeable place, the housing market, where historic mortgage rates are starting to lessen demand. Jen Sullivan takes a closer look at what this all means for homeowners and those who are trying to buy property.
As the Fed raises interest rates aimed at lowering inflation, mortgage rates are also soaring, topping 7% for the first time since 2002. According to lending giant Freddie Mac, the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 7.08% in the week ending October 27. For comparison, a year ago, the 30-year fixed rate stood at 3.14%. And experts say the higher the rates go, the less you can afford.
People buy houses based on what the monthly payment is. The payment prices, the actual monthly cost, the payment, has gone up by as much as 50%.
The increase fueled by the Federal Reserve's drastic action to raise interest rates. And experts say it's crushing the housing market, with home prices beginning to drop in some parts of the country and slowing new contracts.
We've seen interest rates going up very quickly, faster than they've gone up since the 1980s. The Federal Reserve has been pushing up short-term rates, and mortgage rates have responded as well.
While the Fed does not set the interest rates borrowers pay on their mortgage directly, its actions do influence them. Experts say it's possible prices could continue to fall for the immediate future. But because there's still a lot of pent-up demand and supply is still low, we likely won't see major declines anytime soon.
Where there were 10, 15 offers for a property, that was sort of an unreal market. Now it's moving into a more reasonable discussion between buyer and seller.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Health Watch right now, and around 37 million Americans have diabetes. The CDC says about 1 in 5 people don't even know they have it. And the disease can, of course, lead to serious health problems.
In honor of National Diabetes Month, Mandy Gaither explains why health experts say self-care is key.
It's a disease that can strike at any age. Diabetes, which happens when a person's blood sugar is too high, is a serious health threat.
It can affect the eyes and the kidney and the heart, and it's actually linked to certain types of cancer.
Managing the disease and preventing further complications isn't easy. That's why the National Institute of Diabetes, Digestive, and Kidney Diseases says it takes teamwork between a patient and their doctors. Dr. Griffin Rogers says to remember the ABCs. A stands for A1C, a blood test that measures average blood sugar levels over the past 3 months.
And for most people with diabetes, we aim to keep that at about 7%.
B is for blood pressure. The CDC says most people with diabetes have high blood pressure. Rogers says managing it is critical.
So for most people with diabetes, keeping their blood pressure numbers less than 140/90 is a goal.
C is for cholesterol. Lifestyle changes like diet and exercise can help lower it. So can medicines like statins. Finally, S for not smoking.
Smoking and diabetes narrow the blood vessels and lead to the vascular damage that can cause problems in the kidneys and the eyes and the heart.
I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
Still ahead, although slavery was abolished about 150 years ago, language allowing it as a punishment for crime is still allowed in many states. There's a new push in the midterms to change this. Still ahead, the debate that's happening over making that change.
In the past few weeks, all of America has watched parts of Florida pick up the pieces following Hurricane Ian. Hear from one man who helped one city rebuild after Hurricane Harvey. Next.
Welcome back. It may be a surprise, but slavery is on the ballot for some states in the midterms. The slavery loophole actually refers to language in state constitutions that make exceptions for slavery when used as a punishment for crime.
Utahns voted to remove slavery from the state constitution 2 years ago, and up to 5 other states may follow suit. Vanessa Masanya looks into the debate over this.
A painful history, preserved at the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. President Russ Wigginton says it's a reminder of where we came from as a nation.
It is a comprehensive look at the institution of slavery.
On the ballot, though, in several states, is the removal of language that proponents say ties us too close to the past.
This gives us a platform and a context by which hopefully we can renew some conversations.
During the midterms this year, 5 states, Tennessee, Oregon, Louisiana, Alabama, and Vermont, are voting on whether or not they will be removing the language that allows, quote, slavery and involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime. Although slavery was abolished about 150 years ago, 20 states plus the 13th Amendment of the United States contains this language. Utah, Colorado, and Nebraska have changed their constitutions already.
You wouldn't believe it until you read it. There should be no vestige of anything that has been the horror, the scourge of this country, like slavery.
Tennessee State Representative Joe Towns has been trying to take this language out of the state constitution for years.
And when you're talking about you are the leader of exporting democracy around the world, it doesn't fit. It makes no sense.
This is not about right or left. This is about right or wrong.
While the amendment does not have unanimous support, it does have strong bipartisan support, the kind that's rare in current-day politics. State Representative Sam Whitson says he threw his support behind it immediately.
It's really refreshing to see in this day and age.
There's an old African proverb that when the elephants fight, the grass dies. So when the powers to be fight and don't get along, the people suffer.
Opposition against these amendments mostly stem from what some say are potential impacts on prison work programs. Whitson and Towns both say this isn't about reforming prisons, as work programs will continue.
We need things that unite us and not divide us in this country, and anything that we can do to show that we're Americans first when it comes to doing what's right for our democracy. I think this is one of those examples we should build on.
As we continue to learn from the past, Wigginton says moving away from those words represents something crucial in our own growth.
Let's use this as an opportunity for us to begin a combination of healing, understanding, and relationship building so that we can be our best selves moving forward.
In Tennessee, I'm Vanessa Mishanya.
Back to more local news. A motorcyclist is dead after crashing into the concrete median on I-215 in Murray. Utah Highway Patrol says this happened shortly after 10:30 last night at 7th West on I-215 South westbound. The rider was taken to the hospital where they later died. The crash shut down that interstate for a time while troopers investigated the scene. No word yet on the victim's identity here.
Investigators in Box Elder County now looking into an accident that left multiple cows dead on a highway near Tremonton this weekend. This happened Saturday morning on State Route 13. The Tremonton Fire Department said the cattle wandered onto the road where they were hit by at least 3 vehicles. Photos from the scene showed at least 7 cows dead by the side of the road. Officials said several others were injured. None of the people in the vehicles were injured.
We often hear and talk about how climate change and current drought conditions are impacting cities and suburbs.
But what about how it's hurting people who have lived off the land for hundreds of years? Fox 13 News anchor Dan Evans talked with people from the Navajo Nation and saw what they have to deal with firsthand, all to learn the realities of what climate change is doing to a community on Utah's southern border.
We are not eating properly. Natural, organic food that we used to have, it's not here. It's not here, it's not growing. So then all these sicknesses have come in.
Starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. on Good Day Utah, Dan will bring you the whole story, how the people of the Navajo Nation are persisting and forced to evolve in what has become disastrous environmental times for them.
A month and a half ago, Hurricane Ian ripped through Florida, leaving a trail of devastation.
It's an America so many know all too well. In tonight's To America's report, Matt Pearl takes us to a city that faced destruction and persevered.
My wife and I specifically moved here for 2 things. Number 1, the water, and number 2, palm trees.
Gary Edwards interviewed to be the city manager in Aransas Pass, Texas in the summer of 2017. 2 weeks before he took the job, Hurricane Harvey devastated the city.
When I was interviewing here, the town was intact. When I came back, the town was flattened. But I drove into town and I called my wife and I said, I don't know about this.
In this city of 8,000, every house lost power. More than half of homes and businesses suffered damage. The annual budget in Aransas Pass is $25 million. The damages from Harvey, $50 million. But Edwards stayed and quickly learned how long his new city would need to build back.
About 5 years. That's about how long it takes to recover from a Category 4 hurricane in this community.
5 years. Some places it's longer, some places it's slightly less. But on average, the journey of recovery requires half a decade.
It's often long, it's difficult, it's complicated, it's bureaucratic.
Andy Rumbach teaches urban planning at Texas A&M.
You have these disasters that knock out thousands or tens of thousands of homes. It's not like we have that capacity just sitting there ready to build 10,000 homes all at once.
In Aransas Pass, many were displaced, wondering if they'd return. Those who did were surrounded by damage.
There were piles of debris that were similar to the height of a 3 to 4 story building.
Bringing back power took 2 weeks. Bringing back consistent water took 2 years. The next 3 years saw the long lag of rebuilding.
You need those federal dollars. FEMA. You have to have it. The community is going to be a destroyed community without those federal dollars. And it takes so long because of the bureaucratic morass you have to go through to get those federal dollars.
5 years after Harvey, FEMA no longer dominates the coastal bend. Whatever population the towns have lost, they've regained. But not all is normal. The only hospital in Aransas Pass remains closed. The nearest one that's open is over a long bridge towards the lighthouse to Corpus Christi. And of course, 6 months out of the year, major storms loom in the Gulf.
Hurricane season, it goes from, it's going to end the end of November now. When those spaghetti trails you see from the weather reports, you hope one doesn't hit your community. You keep your fingers crossed, you say your prayers, you go to Mass, say a few Hail Marys, and you hope it doesn't hit you. That's all you can do. You can't stop it. If it's going to hit you, it's going to hit you.
Storms, even hurricanes, are inevitable. So when one hits is the long road back. But today in Aransas Pass, the water and the palm trees still lure many to call it home, including the man who moved to town at its lowest time.
5 years later, are you glad you came?
Absolutely, I am. It's been a great experience in helping a community recover.
In Aransas Pass, Texas, I'm Matt Pearl.
Up next, we'll take a look at what movies are coming out in theaters and what's coming to streaming services.
And it's a meeting that one woman will never forget. Why she made the choice to meet her biological sister after 80 years had passed. Jeff.
Yeah, coming up in sports, a good day for some local players in the NFL. And the Utes beat Arizona last night to keep pace in the Pac-12 race. I'll tell you where they're ranked in this week's polls.
Time for a little entertainment buzz. Enola Holmes returns and Weird Al, still around, tells his story.
Weird Al, I haven't heard that for a little while. We have a look at this week's new releases streaming and on the big screen. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Is it true you find lost people?
Millie Bobby Brown is back on the case in Netflix's Enola Holmes 2, solving another mystery along with Henry Cavill as Sherlock.
I'm the weird one. The Roku channel breaks out the accordion for Weird, the Al Yankovic story starring Daniel Radcliffe.
Apple TV Plus has Causeway with Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry about a veteran recovering from a brain injury, dealing with PTSD and facing her childhood past.
But I'm not good enough.
In the Apple TV Plus documentary, Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me, the star opens up about her lupus diagnosis and mental health struggles over the past 6 years. New in theaters is The Estate, with a cast including Anna Faris, Toni Collette, and David Duchovny, in a comedy about sisters and cousins who gather around their terminally ill and difficult-to-please aunt in hopes of becoming her beneficiaries.
Land of dreams.
Also Also on the big screen is director James Gray's personal 1980s coming-of-age family drama Armageddon Time, starring Anne Hathaway, Jeremy Strong, and Anthony Hopkins.
It's just a box of wires.
In select theaters is the documentary Goodnight Oppie by Ryan White, about Mars rover Opportunity, whose 90-day mission turned into 15 years. This stunning visual effects by Industrial Light and Magic transport audiences to Mars to join Oppie on the journey, which is also streaming on Prime Video November 23rd. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, with so many ways to search for information today, people are learning more about their family tree than ever before. But one woman has hoped to get some answers about her family her entire life.
Forrest Sanders from our sister station in Nashville shares this story that's been making about 80 years in the making.
Custer flying in Flight 207 from Boston. Your bag will soon be uploaded on the airfield number 10.
There has never been any doubt in Cookie Cullum's mind. This day would come.
No, I'm an optimistic person. So I figure someday, the Lord's going to work it out, and he did.
She believes good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, this is a long way.
Did you think it was going to be when you were in your 80s?
No, I never dreamed it'd be my 80s.
To know Cookie's story, well, you've got to travel. Cookie was born in Arkansas, and at 6 months old, she was adopted by a family in Memphis. She's not concerned about why she was placed into adoption. She grew up in a wonderful family and had a great childhood. But of course, there's always been that curiosity.
Yeah, when I got to be a teenager, of course.
Does she have family in the state she was born, or somewhere far from here? For a long time, it was a matter of how would Cookie even find them? But son Donald says a day came, Cookie got her birth certificate.
The state of Arkansas just opened up the records back in 2018.
Friends helped Cookie in locating family she's never met, including a sister flying in from Washington.
Like I said, I'm 80 years old. I couldn't last too much longer. I've got Parkinson's disease, so excited, really.
But in all this crowd, where is that sister?
I recognize you. Hey, sweet person. I'm so glad to see you.
It's nice to see you, my dear.
I know. I'm so glad y'all are here.
Well, me too.
Carolyn Maydall is here, Cookie's sister.
She looks so much like my mother. I just knew I would know her. I feel sad that we didn't know sooner about Cookie, and I really feel like we missed out on a lot. We'll make up for it.
In Nashville, I'm Forrest Sanders reporting.
Amy's sitting over here waiting for that big reveal.
No, that was really
Yeah.
sweet. They looked
It was
like
really nice.
such lovely ladies. I'm so happy they were reunited. How cool.
For 80 years.
Isn't that a story?
Reunite us with Mother Nature, Breck.
I think we've been seeing a lot of her this weekend.
Oh, we have, and we'll see even more and more intense here with the next storm coming, because we are going to bring snow into the area for northern Utah, where over the weekend we mainly saw rain. That's going to be changing. Right now, a break from the storms, as we saw a little break with a break in the clouds from this photo coming in. This is Kim up near Deer Creek Reservoir. Now, we had a lot of cloud cover here across northern Utah, some sunshine in places, especially across extreme northern Utah, but the clouds have been filling in here throughout northern Utah, southern Utah throughout the weekend, enjoying the sunshine. Now we're at the end of the day here in St. George, 66 degrees right now, starting to see winds pick up out of the south. That will be a focus for tomorrow, where currently we're in the upper 40s in Salt Lake City. Not too bad, and we're looking at overnight temperatures not dropping too much as we hold on to the clouds and kick up those south winds. And with those south winds, man, today I had to do some raking and trying to rake some of your lawns and leaves up. It's going to be more of a challenge here for the next 3 days due to the winds and due with the precipitation. And probably if you have any leaves on those trees, boy, tomorrow they really get knocked down as we're going to be finding windy conditions throughout most of the state. In addition, take a look at this, where the storm this weekend bringing that rain here across the Wasatch Front. We'll look at that possibility and a better chance of seeing some showers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday. The heaviest rain, though, will be Tuesday into Wednesday. And then we'll see a mixture of rain and snow on Wednesday with snow showers heading into Thursday morning. That's for northern Utah, but you're not missing out here. St. George, looking ahead, you're going to start to see some rain, particularly as we go Tuesday into Wednesday. Then you start clearing out and allowing temperatures to warm back up because you're going to see a big drop in temperatures as we go Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the newscast, looking for these winds for tomorrow, we do have a high wind watch in effect throughout most of western Utah. That'll be upgraded to either a high wind warning and maybe in some areas wind advisories that'll be in place. And all in blue, getting ready for winter storm weather as we're looking mainly across the mountains of northern central into southern Utah. Some of the models showing how much snow as we go from Tuesday through Thursday. Some projections showing, at least across the northern mountains, 20 upwards of 40 inches of snow. Now, that's what it's looking at right now. Definitely would not be surprised if we keep it in that 2 to 3 feet range there for some locations. Now, today's storm still trying to hold on with some clouds. Again, it's really weakened. These clouds will be beginning to move further northward, but with those clouds in place here across northern Utah, we're not seeing much shower activity from radar, but they'll allow temperatures to be fairly mild in the overnight hours. This is the storm we're waiting for to arrive. Again, it's going to be slow to get here. The low pressure system digs kind of towards the south, stalls out, but it'll keep pumping in some moisture and precipitation ahead of it until the colder air tracks through Wednesday into Thursday. So for tonight, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies. Again, overnight lows not dropping too much, only upper 40s, where that's about where we're at right now. So we'll see that south flow and we hold on to the clouds, where tomorrow we're going to be seeing some clouds and maybe ahead of our next storm system, a few light rain showers here across northern Utah. But you can see a quick warm up. It is the warm before the storm. We're expected high in Salt Lake City, 61 degrees, upper 50s in Ogden and Provo as well, even 60s as we turn towards Richville, getting up to 70 degrees in St. George, but you have to contend with the winds. It's going to be breezy tomorrow. You get hit with the rain Tuesday and Wednesday, then the storm moves away, a slow warm up into the weekend. We're back into the mid to upper 50s by Saturday and Sunday. Northern Utah, oh, it's a wet one as mentioned, and the winds, especially as we go into tomorrow and Tuesday. That rain on Tuesday, mixture of rain and snow on Wednesday, then snow as we look towards Thursday morning before the storm finally exits. But boy, it's going to make its mark, dropping those temperatures only in the 40s with overnight lows in the 20s. That is feeling more like December rather than the middle of November. But we need the snow, and we're going to get a lot of it, at least up in the mountains here, over the next few days.
Well, the Utes took care of business last night in the rain with a 45-21 over Arizona. The Utes are now 7-2 overall. They remain in contention in the Pac-12 race. Just 3 games to play, starting with an 8 o'clock game on Saturday night at home against Stanford. The Utes fell 1 spot to 13th in this week's AP Top 25 and the Coaches Bowl. Georgia nearly the unanimous #1 after knocking off Tennessee. And 3 other Pac-12 contenders are in the top 10. Oregon 6th, the USC at 8, and UCLA 9th. In the NFL, the Jets were 11-point underdogs against the Bills. Looked like Buffalo was going to run away with it early. Josh Allen, his second rushing touchdown of the game to put the Bills up 14-3 in the second quarter. But the Jets answered back right before the half. Michael Carter runs it in from 6 yards out, cut the lead to 14-10. Then in the third quarter, former BYU and Corner Canyon star Zach Wilson gets us to James Robinson in for another New York touchdown, and the Jets pulled off the upset, beating the Bills 20-17. They're 6-3, a half game behind the AFC East division leading Bills. The Vikings took on the Commanders. Big play for Washington in the third quarter. Tyler Heineke throws it deep to Curtis Samuel. The official took out one defender, and Samuel scored to put the Commanders up 10-7. Then in the fourth quarter, Heineke to former BYU and Bingham star Dax Milne for a 6-yard touchdown. That's his first NFL touchdown for Milne in his second season with the Commanders. And that gave Washington a 17-7 lead. But the Vikings rallied back. Kirk Cousins to Dalvin Cook for a touchdown. That tied the score up at 17, and Minnesota won it 20-17 with a late field goal to improve to 7-1. Chargers took on the Falcons. Atlanta running back Tyler Algier. Big game. The former BYU Cougar had a great run here for the Falcons on the first drive of the game. 44 yards on this run. He had 10 carries for 99 yards plus a 24-yard reception. That set up a touchdown, but the Chargers rallied back from a 10-point deficit. Austin Ekeler runs it in to put LA on the scoreboard. He would add one more touchdown on this reception. Justin Herbert gets it to him for the score. The Chargers pulled ahead and won it 20-17. Raiders in Jacksonville to play the Jaguars, and it'll look good early for Las Vegas. Derek Carr with time to throw finds Devontae Adams wide open, 38-yard touchdown. Raiders up 17-0 in the second quarter, but the Jaguars rallied. Travis Etienne in for the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter. The Raiders needed a miracle on 4th and 17, down 7, with just 27 seconds remaining. They go one way, throw it the other across the field to Foster Moreau. He throws it back, but former Utah Ute Devin Lloyd is there to get it to seal the 27-20 win for Jacksonville. Coming up on the Fox 13 Sports page, Jazz playing tonight late in LA against the Clippers. We'll have the highlights, plus a look back to a big Saturday in college football with the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies, Wildcats, and Trailblazers all in action. I'm picking up wins.
I don't know if there's a better moment in pro sports, pro football, to see the big guys, the linemen, tossing the ball back and forth.
Yeah, that rarely
2 seconds
works,
to go.
right?
Yeah. I don't think it's a good
We got a
result.
whole lot of football tonight.
We do a lot of football. I was at that Utah game. But
Yeah,
boy,
in the
did it
rain?
rain.
You've
You look
dried
good,
out
though.
now,
You've dried
though.
out
You look
now.
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Thanks for showing up. Yeah, that's great. We'll be right back.
Finally, tonight, we want to take a moment and spotlight a brand new addition to the Fox 13 News family. Good Day Utah show editor Justin Parkinson and his wife Mariah gave birth to their baby last night. Mariah did the heavy lifting. This is Liam Shea. Welcome, Liam. We're so excited to see you. He was born last night at 6:06 p.m., weighed 7 pounds, 7 ounces. Baby doing fine, and Justin and Mariah are delighted to welcome their son into the world.
Very cool.
Congratulations from all of us. Yes.
We'll see you back here tonight with a full newscast and the sports page.